Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining me for a gentle wind down yoga class with Dee and Stretch. We'll start in a seated Shavasana shape. And I have a rolled up blanket underneath my hips, but you could also use a block and have it with its longest edge and shortest edge right underneath your two sits bones. Your legs can be in any position. Some people like butterflies, some people like crisscross applesauce. And you can pull one leg forward to help you be more comfortable. You can also place your hands by your hips, providing just a little more support. Maybe it's better for you to have your hands in your lap. No matter how you're seated, and you could even lie down, make sure that you can feel connected to the floor through the mat. See if you can lengthen your spine and perhaps close down your eyes too. And begin to bring your awareness inside of your body. A great way to put all the work from today prior and still needing to be done aside for this 60 minutes. Begin to breathe, watching your breath with your mind's eye. Beginning even to slow that breath down a little bit. Taking longer and deeper breaths. Today, our pranayama practice will be Ujjayi breath. And what we'll do as we're ready is we'll start to constrict our throat right around our voice box by just tightening it up, clenching it a little bit. And we'll draw the air in through our nose. And because of the constricted air pipe, we'll hear in our head kind of a wheezing sound. Maybe it'll sound like an ah or a ha to you. And just go ahead and keep the throat constricted as you let the air enter and leave your lungs. Take a moment to notice how this breathing changes your nervous system. Perhaps you can feel it helping you calm down and relax right away. Perhaps it takes a little while to feel comfortable. Letting our body show us the way, letting the body help us make sure we're getting enough air, and make sure we feel comfortable. And let's now set that Ujjayi breath aside, letting the breath move into a normal ebb and flow. Maybe still feeling the breath moving through the body. Maybe still even feeling the breath fill the lungs. Maybe smoothing the breath out from side to side. Let's flutter open our eyes and then exhale to lower our chin towards our chest. And let's just stay here for a moment, stretching the back side of the neck. Keeping that same breathing rhythm so that our nervous system stays calm. And on your next inhale, lift your chin back up to neutral. Good. Let's release our arms by our side and let's start a core flow of sun breaths. We've talked about this in the last two classes and about how sun breaths are a nice way to wake the body up, the arms mostly, the torso, by lifting the arms with each inhale and lowering the arms with each exhale. Moving at your own pace because your breath is going at your own pace. This is a nice way to connect your breath with a movement. And let's go ahead the next time we lift both arms up over our head. Let's release one arm, kind of come down with that hand on the floor or mat, and then release the opposite arm over to the side. We'll do that again, inhaling both arms up, releasing the lower arm and letting that upper arm reach over to the opposite side. We can keep going from side to side. Just adding this little lateral stretch into our sun breath today. And the next time both arms are down by your side, let's inhale a sun breath. Both arms come up overhead. We'll move into moving the spine in a twist by turning to one side. One arm drops to the front, opposite arm drops to the back. Let's do that a couple more times each side. So we'll inhale to twist, exhale, and then inhale, coming over to the other side. Exhale, the arms down. Just rotating back and forth. Next time the arms are up overhead, keep your torso face towards the center and release them to the floor. Let's stretch our legs out in front of us and we'll take a a half body stretch rather, by inhaling the arms up overhead. Sun breath, exhale. Let's fold over our legs, letting our hands drop faster than our chest and finding where we can keep a flat back. We'll press the feet, the shins, or the calves really, and the hips against the floor to find that length up through the crown of the head at a diagonal. On your next exhale, round out your spine. Start to lower your upper body. Head lowers, chin tucks into the chest. And you can set your arms on your legs. Just sort of let your upper body feel the heaviness of the limbs. And let that stretch the back, stretch the legs. On the next inhale, with the hands pressing into the floor, let's walk our hands towards our hips as we lift our torso away from the floor. Let's come into butterfly pose, pressing our feet together, knees out to the side, sitting up nice and tall once again. And from here, let's come into our morning greeting flow. This is another core flow that I've committed to teaching the first 4 classes this semester in this class. And I really love morning greeting. In the middle of the day, if I need some energy in the morning to greet the sun. You can even do it late at night before you go to bed. So the way it works is it starts with a sun breath. We'll inhale, our arms come up, our palms come together at the end of the inhale, and then we exhale our hands to our heart. Let's inhale, pausing movement. As we exhale, our gaze stays straight in front of us and we reach our hands straight out in front of us. So it can be kind of, think of it as sort of a shark's fin where you're lifting the Press together palms up and then out to straighten your arms. On the next inhale, we widen our hands away from each other. We draw the hands back behind us to open the chest, and we can lift the chin slightly, maybe bringing our gaze to where the wall meets the ceiling. Then exhale, bring the arms and hands together, palms touching as you lower your chin to your chest. Inhale to bring your hands back to your heart. Your gaze comes back straight forward. Exhale to release your hands by your side. Feel free to change up your leg position if you need to. And we'll do this 2 more times. A morning greeting. Inhale the arms up. Exhale the hands to the heart. Inhale, pause. Exhale, hands come straight out in front. Gaze forward. Inhale. Cow, arch the back, open the chest, lift the chin. Exhale, cat, round the shoulders, tuck the chin, hands touch. Inhale, back to the heart center. Exhale, arms back down by your side. One more time. Inhale, arms up. Exhale to heart. Inhale. Exhale, hands forward, arms lifted. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale, heart. Exhale, release the hands by your sides. Let's move our knees back towards one another and let the soles of our feet press into the mat in front of us. We can bring our hands back by our hips, and we're going to begin to rotate both knees to one side in windshield wipers. Maybe your knees just go slightly to one side. Maybe they're lowering all the way down to the ground. Maybe you're moving your feet and legs a little bit apart. Trying the wider windshield wipers here. We'll bring our knees back to center. Send both feet over to one side to come up on our hands and knees into a tabletop. I'm going to set up my blanket since I have a hard floor. I'm going to come down with my hands shoulder distance apart, but I actually like walking my hands a little bit wider and turning my thumbs so that they're pointing straight towards one another with the inside of my elbows facing each other. And let's move into some cat cows here, undulating the spine. Picking up the navel as the head and tailbone come toward each other, lowering the navel as the head and tailbone lift slightly. And let's go back and forth, really slowly, gently moving. Let's bring our spine to neutral. And from here, let's come down onto our forearms. From here, let's lean into our right knee and stretch our left leg out to the side. Let's now come forward with our head sort of pressing on the leg that's under us so that we can rock our hips forward and back. Use your hands, either press together or you could interlace your fingers. Pressing arms, elbows, and hands into the floor as the shoulders and hips rock forward. Holding up your weight, maybe staying forward for a moment. Pressing into the full length of the forearm as you rock back and forth, stretching this left leg here. We'll come back up to neutral where our shoulders are over our elbows, and we can come up on to our hands and draw that left foot back in and leg back in. Let's switch to the other side, extending this time once we come down onto our forearms, the right leg out, straight out from the hip. We can bring the inside edge of the foot to the floor. And we can start rotating forward and back, noticing the load that we're bringing onto our arms as we move forward, and the load or the weight we're bringing onto our legs as we rotate the hip back. And the stretch we're getting all around the top of the femur where it meets the hip. We'll bring our chest, shoulders, and hips into neutral position. Come back up onto the hands off of the forearms and draw that right knee and foot in underneath us. Let's sway the hips from side to side and let your head turn kind of to look over your shoulder and see if you can catch a gaze of your feet as you just gently rock from side to side here. We'll come back to our table, leaving our hips over our knees. Let's come onto our forearms again and then stretch each arm out in front of us, lowering the chest to the floor, lowering the forehead to the floor, and coming into puppy dog. Now, when I lower my upper body to the floor, my feet want to come up off the floor, and that's okay. They may even touch. Big toes coming together, sides of the foot coming together. See if you can walk your hands a little farther away from your shoulders. Really stretch into the arms, pointing your underarms towards the floor here. Letting the next inhale bring us back up to table. We'll press down on our forearms to be able to come up onto our hands, where we can find cat-cows once again. Undulating with our breath, maybe exhaling as we come into cat or exhaling as we come into cow. Maybe experimenting with different breaths here. We'll bring our spine to neutral. And let's tuck under our toes and come up into downward facing dog. So we'll press on our feet, lifting our knees and hips up and back. Stretching our arms and our legs. Maybe walking the dog here. We'll bring our heels even, let both knees float down to the mat, widen our knees away from each other, bring the big toes together, and we'll sink the hips down and back, lower the chest, neck, head to the mat, coming into child's pose. If puppy dog works better for your body, puppy dog is a great pose to do now as well. You can modify poses anytime you'd like. Literally anytime the fancy strikes you. We'll let our next inhale bring us back up to table, and we'll walk our knees together. So we've just stretched up into downward dog, and we've come down onto our forearms to stretch our leg out to the side, rocking the hips forward and back. We're going to do kind of a combination of that pose next. So from table, come down onto your forearms, either press your palms together or interlace your fingers. So the top part of our body is going to be in this position. The bottom part of our body, we're going to try to bring up into dolphin, which means that we'll press into our toes here that are tucked under, and we'll lift our hips and knees as if we were coming into downward facing dog. Then let's try to walk our feet towards our elbows. And maybe if that's difficult for you, you just stay right where you are. Take a couple of breaths. Maybe you need to lower your knees right away, so you modify and adjust, letting the next inhale after you've rested lift you back up again. Maybe you stay lifted until we all lower our knees on the next exhale. And let's sink back into child's pose or puppy dog pose once again from our dolphin. Let the next inhale bring you back up to your table. Knees come together, feet come apart. And let's press up into downward dog again. Lifting hips and knees up and back, stretching the chest towards the thighs. As deep of a bend in the knees as your body wants or needs. And then we'll let the knees float down. We'll come back to our table. We'll come on to both forearms, pressing palms together or interlacing the fingers. Tucking the toes under from this lower point on forearms, lift your hips and knees up and back, coming back into dolphin. Resting your head right in between the two forearms. Feeling the strength of the muscles of the upper body, pressing into the arms and hands, forearms, and then release back into your child's pose as you're ready. Extending your arms up overhead and letting your forehead rest on the floor or maybe on a block. On the next inhale, let's lift ourselves back up to our table, and we're going to make our way up to standing. Perhaps you'd like to make your way up through a downward facing dog. Walk your hands towards your feet or your feet towards your hands. Perhaps you're better off stepping one foot forward from a kneeling position and getting that foot under you, the back foot, and coming up through a forward fold. Let's all meet at mountain pose, standing on our mats. To inhale, press down through your feet, lift up through your torso. You can lift your hands up in front of you or out to the side, and exhale your hands down to your heart. All right. From standing, let's come into some more sun breaths here. Just feeling that energy as we inhale and lift the arms, exhale and lower the arms. Keep breathing at your own pace, linking your breath with your movement. One really nice way to slow down your movement to match your breath, but also to let your breath help you move. Easy to inhale while the arms lift and exhale as the arms lower. Let's begin to use heel lifts. As we inhale this time, the arms go up. We rise up off of our heels onto our tiptoes. And as we exhale, we slowly lower the heels down. See if you can make your movements more smooth as you lift your arms and heels and lower your arms and heels. And keep in mind that it's always a good idea to use a wall for support, for stability, helping us move perhaps a little more smoothly with that support. Maybe one hand's holding onto a chair. All right. Let's come to the top of the mat. I like to include sun salutations in my classes. It's another kind of vinyasa flow that I call a core flow. It's something that you can take out of this yoga class and put into your own practice on days when you don't have an hour. You might only have 15 minutes. You might do one or two sun salutations on each side, very slowly, intentionally, and carefully. He's brought me a ball to play with. How sweet. Or you might do the morning greeting or sun breaths instead to get yourself moving, feeling better. So from the top of the mat, start in your mountain pose and inhale your arms up overhead. Exhale, deeply bend your elbows and knees and let your body come forward into a fold. Good. Inhale, come halfway up. Straight legs, hands to the thighs, knees or shins. Exhale, release your hands, step the left foot back behind you. Lower that knee, the back knee down towards the floor, or keep it up off the mat. You're pressing into those back toes. The back heel is lifted no matter what shape you're in. Let your next inhale lift you up away from that forward leg, maybe using blocks to help you support yourself here. And on an inhale, you can lift one or both arms up overhead or bring your hands to your heart. Exhale to release your hands. They float down to the mat. They press into the floor. We'll lift that back knee and hip to send that right foot and leg back behind us. And we'll come either into plank or half plank. Letting the knees float down. The upper body is at a diagonal. Arms and hands holding you up. Exhale and let the body come, inhale and let the body come forward. Press on your toes, kind of rock on your knees a little bit, and then exhale your way down to the floor. Flatten those feet. Inhale, come up to cobra. Press on your hands, peel your head, neck, and the tops of your shoulders up off the mat. Exhale to release the head and shoulders, come back down. You tuck the feet under and we'll press and lift up and away from the mat. Let the next inhale step the left foot forward. And this time, as we press and lift up away from the mat, we're going to drop that back heel. Both knees are up off the mat. We're not in a low lunge anymore. We're coming into a warrior one here. Let the next inhale lift your hands to your heart. Your knee is bent, front knee right on top of that front heel. The back leg is stretched back behind you, and the toes are pointed to a diagonal. Exhale, release the upper body. You can reach down towards your blocks or towards the floor or towards your legs. Step that right leg up to meet the left, and you're back in a forward fold. Inhale to come up halfway. Exhale to release. Bend your knees, rest your belly on your thigh. And then inhale, press down through both feet, lift up through both arms, bring them up overhead, hands come together and down to the heart. From here, we're going to step the left foot back behind us, and we're going to turn the toes to face the long edge of the mat. We're in a wide angle shape here. We'll inhale both arms up overhead. Exhale, let one arm drop and lean the opposite hand and arm across the head over to the other side. We'll bring the opposite arm back up on the next inhale and exhale both arms down by your side. One more time, inhaling, sun breath the arms up. Exhale, drop the opposite hand towards the leg and lean over in a lateral stretch. Inhale, both arms up. Exhale, both arms down. And now we'll turn our feet towards the short end of the mat and walk to the bottom. Inhaling the arms up overhead. Hands come together. Exhale, nose dive, forward fold. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, release. Hands come to the floor. I'll grab my blocks so that I can use them on this side. This time, the right foot steps back. Maybe you keep that knee high for a high lunge. Maybe you drop the right knee, flatten that foot for a low lunge. Inhale, lifting the shoulders, stacking them almost on top of the hips. Inhale to lift your arms, maybe up over your head, one, maybe both. Exhale, release your hands, lower your upper body, come in contact with the floor, palms down. Lift that back knee and hip and send the left foot back behind you to find your plank or your half plank. Toes are curled under. Inhale to press on your toes. Lift yourself forward. Exhale to lower. That puts the hands in the right position so that the elbows are right above the wrists. Wrists are and hands are palms down right underneath your shoulders. And we'll let an inhale lift us up into cobra. Exhale releases us from cobra. The flat feet, curl the toes under to lift up and back into downward facing dog. We can stretch in down dog before we step the right foot forward. We'll draw on an inhale our chest up away from the floor. That back knee is lifted. We'll slightly drop the heel, letting the toes, those left toes, point towards the diagonal. There's a bend in the right knee as we come into our warrior one shape here. Let an inhale lift the arms. Take a breath here. Let an exhale lower the arms, lean the chest forward, and we can bring that back foot up to match the front and come into another forward fold. Inhale to come halfway up. Exhale to release. Inhale, press down through the feet, lift up through the arms, the torso, the head lifts. Come to standing and exhale the hands to the heart. Take that left foot, step it back. This time you're facing the opposite long edge of the mat. Inhale, both arms up overhead. Exhale, release one arm and lean that direction. Inhale, both arms up overhead. Exhale, both arms come down. Inhale, both arms up. This time the opposite arm drops to that leg on that side, and we lean over in a lateral stretch from this wide angle. Inhale to lift the arms back up. Exhale, releases the hands down by your side. Let's walk our feet together, heel toe, or step them together. And we're going to come back up to the top of the mat. This time, let's step the right foot back, coming back into that warrior one stance. Warrior one legs. Moving and adjusting to make yourself stable and comfortable. Pressing the four corners of each foot into the floor. Let's grab our blocks. Maybe put them in our hands. Maybe rest them on the floor on either side of that forward foot. Either way, we can inhale the arms up. Maybe bring the hands and arms into a V if that works for you. Leave one hand on the hip, one arm lifted. As we exhale, we'll lean forward, reach for the blocks, and we're going to step onto the toes of that back foot and perhaps lift that back leg up off the floor. We might be able to bring the heel parallel to the hips with the knee all in a line. We might keep that foot fairly low. We might even touch the toes to the ground. We could be anywhere in between. See if you can lengthen the lifted leg by pressing through the heel. And then exhale to bring that foot down. Place it next to the right and sink into your forward fold again on the next exhale. Let's let the next inhale press down through the feet, lift up through the hands and arms to standing. Exhale, the hands to the heart. Let's move to stepping the opposite foot back. We'll step the left foot back this time, finding our warrior one shape. Getting stable in our legs. Hips facing the short edge of the mat, knee bent, but still over the heel. Those back legs long, reaching back, stretching the muscles. Inhale the arms to the heart. Let an exhale shift your weight forward, reach your hands for the blocks. Come up onto that standing forward leg. The left leg lifts this time into our warrior three. From warrior one to warrior three. Pressing through that heel, lifting the leg any amount. Still working to our strength by making our yoga our own. Exhale that left leg down, have it come right next to the right and sink into your forward fold once again. Bending through the knees, resting the stomach on the thighs. Noticing the back releasing at the lumbar spine. And letting the arms and head hang. Let's inhale, pressing down through both feet. We'll come all the way up to standing. And we'll exhale our hands to our heart. Let's come to the middle of the mat now to work on a balance pose. We'll do stork today. We'll find our mountain pose in the middle of our mat, pressing the soles of both feet, hip distance apart, down below us. And let's bend one knee, lifting the heel, and we'll walk the toes or slide the toes forward, and we'll begin with toe tapping. I like to toe tap before doing stork and tree pose. Just helps, I think, gauge your balance for the day. Maybe you know, I'm figuring out I need to hold on to the wall today. Maybe not. Maybe you're fine with your balance on one leg. Let's point our toe with the knee lifted. We can even keep the feet close to the floor or the toes touching the floor. We'll inhale our arms. We're going to bend our elbows, lift our wrists above our shoulders, but keep the elbows below the shoulders, pointing the thumbs and fingers down. See if you can come into this stork pose, standing like a stork. Maybe you do the Karate Kid kick and let your lifted leg come out. And then release yourself. Let your standing leg relax as you shift from side to side, shaking out the legs. And then we'll move to the other side. See how this side is in balancing today. Come to your mountain shape. Bend the opposite knee and test the standing legs balance on this side. Maybe keeping the foot more low than lifted. Pointing the toe, no matter how high the knee is. Lifting the arms into the stork shape with the thumbs and fingers pointing down. And if you'd like, giving a couple of Karate Kid kicks, letting yourself move the standing leg, handling that movement or not. Maybe you're staying in stillness here. Releasing on the next exhale and shaking the legs out once again. Let's make our way down onto our mat for our cool down here. Sitting with our feet right out in front of us on our sits bones. And we'll go ahead and begin to lean back, holding on maybe to the kneecaps, and see if you can slow your descent as you slowly lower your upper body down on the floor, releasing your head and neck last. And let's draw both knees into the chest. Flat on our backs, pressing the sacrum into the floor as we draw our knees up towards our chest. Maybe wrapping our arms around the top or back behind. And let's rock from left to right here. We'll come back to center. Release the legs and let your knees float down to the mat. Let's step into our left foot and leg and lift the right foot up towards the ceiling. We can point and flex here, maybe wiggle the toes, draw some circles with the toes. And then as you lower this right foot, bend the right knee out to the side and bring the right ankle on top of the left knee. We'll take our right hand and we'll push this thigh away. Maybe you'll move your ankle somewhere along the upper thigh, right by the knee. Actually, it's the lower thigh, then right by the knee, right? And we can push this knee away from us, feeling this stretch. Maybe that's enough of a stretch. We need to work here, staying in our level of comfort. Maybe we need to deepen the stretch by lifting our left foot up off the mat, reaching our hands around the back of the left thigh, and interlacing the fingers, drawing the legs toward us, maybe even using the right elbow to push that right thigh away as we bring that right ankle toward us and feel that stretch deep in our hip. Sometimes I like to rock a little bit here. Sometimes I like to be still. Focusing on the breath. And then letting the next exhale release the hands. The left foot floats back down to the mat and we'll uncross the right. Let's do a few windshield wipers back and forth here. Feet hip distance apart. Knees rocking side to side very slowly as we cool down here. Let's bring the knees back up towards the sky. We'll press into that right foot and leg and we'll lift the left foot up towards the ceiling. We can use our hands to support here, pointing and flexing, wiggling the toes, rolling the ankle. And then as we begin to release the left foot, let it float down to the mat, we'll turn that left knee out and bring the ankle to rest somewhere by the right knee. Let's take our left palm and begin stretching that thigh away from the body, drawing it back in. Maybe we stay here. Maybe we would like to lift that right foot, draw the hands back behind the right thigh, interlace the fingers, and bring the legs a little closer. Maybe using our elbow on this side to deepen that stretch. Maybe rocking a little bit in your piriformis shape here. Remembering that when we can keep our yoga in a comfortable practice, we're less likely to injure ourselves. There's no need to try too hard, especially in a winding down gentle class. Honoring where our bodies are today. Breathing, staying with our breath. And then on the next exhale, we'll release that right foot, leg, let it float down to the mat, uncross the left. And let's go back into these windshield wipers here. Letting the swaying of the knees really work the tissues in the back of the hips as we roll across those tissues, kind of breaking up any adhesions in the fascia, letting the weight of the body bring circulation into that area, more blood, more fluids. And the next time the knees are up towards the ceiling, let's keep them there. Let's walk our feet out wide till the baby toes are at the edge of your mat or maybe a little beyond. Let's let both knees float over to the left side. And if you'd like, with that right knee down, you can lift up the left foot and place it on top of the right knee. Let's inhale our arms out wide like wings or into cactus arms. And then let's turn our chin away from the bent knees. See how that feels to the neck. Maybe turn the chin towards the bent knees. See how that feels. And then choosing the location that's better for our body. Taking a breath or two here. Letting the next exhale remove that top foot if you've lifted it up. Let the next inhale bring both knees back to center. And then the next exhale can slowly rotate the knees to the opposite side. We'll set up the twist on this side, maybe perhaps lifting that right foot, resting it on top of the outside of the left knee. Turning our chin to the left, away from the legs. And take a few breaths in this twist. Slowing the breath down a little more. As we settle in stillness here for a moment, let the next exhale release that right foot. We'll inhale both knees back to center. And let's move to student choice. Pick a pose that your body really feels the need to do right now. Maybe it's happy baby, maybe it's bridge. As long as there's no prop underneath your head, you can lift and peel your hips up. And then wait for the exhale to lower the hips down. Could do a yoga walk, a reclined butterfly. Knees into your chest. Let your body call to you And feel the movement that your body wants and needs in this moment. And then let's all straighten our legs long towards the end of the mat. We'll draw our arms down by our side. Let the next inhale lift your arms up and back. And the next exhale brings your arms right back by your side, lifting them up and over and behind with each inhale, and lifting them up and down in front with each exhale. Connect your breath to your body's movements here. See how slow you can begin to breathe and move. Getting the body ready for our final Shavasana. The next time your arms are up and back behind you, we'll exhale, drawing them back by our side. And let yourself move into a comfortable Shavasana position. Maybe you bend up through your knees. Maybe you keep them long on the mat. Maybe you place your blanket or rolled up towel back behind your head. And you lie here in corpse pose. Toes really fanned out to the sides, heels in towards the center of the body. This position might tweak your back. It might make your lower back feel a little uncomfortable, more tense than you want it to be. So if that's the case for you, a bolster under the knees can help, or walking up onto the feet, bending the knees to the sky. I always set my feet out a little wide so that I can draw my knees and thighs in toward each other, let my legs hold each other up. And let's sink into our mat here, closing down our eyes. Let's begin to focus on the body, on the chest, on the breath, on the movement here. And let's slow the breath down. Do a body scan of the lower part of the body, the legs, the feet, the hips. Look for places here that are still tense, places that won't relax. Maybe you tense up the whole lower part of your body and then relax each of the muscles, pressing the weight of the legs, maybe of the feet too, into the floor. Now let's focus on the upper part of the body, from the waist to the crown of the head through both arms. See if you feel any tension still holding on. Maybe tense up all the muscles in the upper body and your torso, abdomen, spine, arms, shoulders, neck, and then relax those parts. See if you can coax your whole body into feeling heavier and heavier and heavier. Begin to follow your breath. Focusing on your breath, extend each inhale and exhale. See if you can smooth out the transitions between the breath. Just let it go. Each time a thought carries your mind off to some area of your life, bring your attention back to your breath, back to the flow of the air moving through your body. And as you're ready to begin moving again, begin to rock your head, letting your chin roll over towards one shoulder and then roll back to the center and over towards the other shoulder. Just keep rotating back and forth, slowly waking yourself up with these small movements, maybe wiggling your fingers and toes. With your head back in the center, let's move over onto one side, stacking our hips and our shoulders. We'll press up away from the floor slowly, bringing our arms underneath us, walking our hands towards our hips, bringing up our head last, and coming on to both sits bones, perhaps bringing that folded blanket or a block underneath us so we can sit up nice and tall. Pressing down on your sits bones, extending the crown of your head to the sky. We'll release our arms by our sides. And let's inhale the arms up overhead. Taking a deep breath in as we exhale, let's move our hands right down the center of the body to the heart. We'll close down our eyes and let the next exhale tuck our chin towards our chest so that we can bow to the divine that's in us. The light in me honors the light in each of you. Let the next inhale lift your chin to neutral. You can flutter open your eyes, release your hands, and thank you so much for joining me today for a gentle wind down class this afternoon. I hope your evening is wonderful, and I'll see you next week.